though you are dressed in raggedy military clothing, and know you must be frightening to look at and smell even worse. No one seems afraid of you. Mothers don't shoo their children into the house, and in fact, as they walk along, people wave and say hello, smiling at you with kindness while waving to Asha and offering you some extra fruit or vegetables from their gardens. Unlike the other houses you've seen, which all appear to have been through an earthquake, if they are even still standing, the log homes around you look solid and in perfect condition. You marvel at the peace and serenity you feel as you pass by one home after the next. Each homestead has fragrant, colorful flowers, a vegetable garden, a pond, an orchard, and a forest, and oddly enough, most seem to have fences surrounding the property composed of raspberry bushes. What a clever idea, you think, as you remember how you were constantly mending fences on the farm where you grew up. A fence that will last forever, will feed your family and your neighbors, and never needs to be repaired. How about that? Between each home is a wide ribbon of rolling pasture land where horses and ponies are grazing. But this isn't the type of space that is owned by the rich, with signs posted saying, "No trespassing." It is land that is open and free to all, Asha informs you. It strikes you that every homestead has the most extraordinary colors and fragrances. You have never seen so many diverse and unique designs in the landscaping surrounding a home, and rather than feeling that these homesteads are private and cut off from each other, you have the feeling of spaciousness. The homesteads have plenty of space, but no more than they need, just enough to provide for their own families, with plenty of open land in between. As you continue walking, you notice that everyone seems to have everything they need. Clearly no one is working, and the children don't appear to be in school. Yet you can tell that Asha is uncommonly intelligent, so you ask her if she goes to school. Asha cocks her head but looks confused. You say, "Do you know how to read and write?" Asha laughs gaily.
"Oh, I see what you're asking. I can read or write if I need to, but it slows your brain down. We pass stories down through oral traditions. It's much more challenging to remember every single word down to the tiniest detail, and that causes our brains to move more quickly, and this builds momentum in the mind of the thinker."
"Do you know math?" you ask, now very curious, and hoping you might be able to actually test her abilities. Asha nods enthusiastically. Fumbling through your pockets, you finally find what you're looking for. "This is a calculator. Don't really know why I kept it. I guess I just figured it would come in handy one day. I'll show you how it works." First, you show Asha that it is solar-powered, and then you tap in 2 numbers and show her the button to touch for multiplying numbers. Then you tap 2 more numbers. But in the moment you tap the equals button, Asha tells you the answer before the number appears on the screen. And this keeps happening even when you are finally up to multiplying 6-digit numbers. Asha is faster than the calculator every time. But oddly enough, she doesn't seem to be having any fun, nor does she seem in the least bit pleased with herself. In fact, she appears to be rather bored. You say, "How do you calculate all those numbers in your mind?" Asha shrugs and says,
"Calculations are always the same on a dead dimension."
"What do you mean, a dead dimension?"
"Well, nothing changes. The numbers are always the same. It's just not that much fun. I'd rather calculate numbers in a living dimension."
You look at her skeptically and say, "A living dimension? What does that mean?"
1 plus 1 will always equal 2.
That's true on a dead dimension,
says Asha.
but not in a living one.
Can you show me how 1 plus 1 would equal something other than 2?
You ask. Asha nods, and holding up her fist, she unfurls her pointer finger and says,
Mama,
then unfurling her next finger, she adds,
plus Papa
then straightening her third finger, she says,
equals me.
Asha looks at you ingenuously and says,
So 1 plus 1 equals 3. And in a living dimension, it could be even more.
You are stunned and can't help but wonder if there is anything this little girl doesn't know. Responding directly to your thoughts, she says,
I don't know what we're having for dinner.
You burst out laughing. As you continue walking, you realize that you recognize the landscape from the day before.
This is odd, but I'd swear I just came through here, and this doesn't look at all the same. Where did all these houses come from?
Well, it's the same scenery, but you're not exactly in the same place,
says Asha. You shake your head, blinking in disbelief.
What does that mean? Where did I go?
You didn't really go anywhere. You changed your frequency. Sort of like tuning into a different radio station,
says Asha, looking at you and noticing that you don't quite understand.
You changed how you were feeling, right? And when you sort of fell in love with everything, that feeling caused you to wake up here.
You nod, your eyes moist as the remembrance washes over you. You aren't sure you understand, but the evidence is all around you, so you can't disagree.
Then what happened to my friends?
You say.
They're on a version of Earth that matches the frequency or vibration of their thoughts and feelings, and they're experiencing what they most believed would occur.
For a moment you're taken aback. As you think about what Asha is saying, an image appears in your mind, and you see how the world you had just come from had felt as empty and aimless as you did at the time, and how this world feels as loving as you did while dying. Like a puzzle piece changing its shape, you understand that you no longer fit into that old reality. But just as you had become a match to this world, your friends are still a match to theirs.
So, when I woke up and you were sitting there next to me, if I had gone back to where I was camping, what would have happened? I mean, could I have brought any of the others here with me?
If you had gone back, you would have found the place where you camped, but you wouldn't have found your friends or any evidence that they had ever been there.
But I know there are others who would love this world,
you say.
It seems unfair that they didn't have the same opportunity that I did.
They do have the same opportunity. Everyone does. But in order to experience a new reality, they have to let go of everything that keeps them in the old reality.
How could they possibly know what to let go of?
They just let go of anything that doesn't feel good,
Asha replies simply.
I guess that's what I did,
you muse thoughtfully to yourself. During the past year, you had watched the things that you believed in lose their meaning completely. As a soldier, you had described yourself as a defender, peacekeeper, and protector of our liberties. But in a world without war, without people, without government, it was only a matter of time until you realized that none of it meant anything anymore. And with that, there was nothing left to fight for. But still you held on, struggling to keep your sense of identity. And for what? You smiled to yourself, wondering why you hadn't let go sooner. It feels like the most natural thing in the world.
Are you sure I'm not dead?
You say, grasping for any reason that you might be having this experience, short of a very long dream. Asha bursts out laughing.
You say the funniest things,
she says, her eyes filled with delight, as if she were being entertained by a kitten.
Why don't we go have dinner?
The little girl smiles up at you adoringly. Her eyes sparkle as she leads you happily to her home. Her family lives in a modest log cabin, but you sense they didn't spend much time indoors. A gentle breeze is blowing past the house, and you can smell the sweet combined fragrance of the jasmine and magnolias that surround their home. And when you arrive at the front door, the lavender-colored roses are as glorious as their soft scent. To your surprise, Asha's parents welcome you inside warmly. The little girl is the image of her tall, beautiful blonde mother, with the same full lips and intensely blue eyes. But there's something about her father in her too, something in her eyes or in the expressions on her face. He is taller than his wife and ruggedly handsome, and they both appear to be in their mid-20s, just a bit younger than you. But what strikes you the most is how much they love each other, as they laugh and giggle while preparing this simple but extraordinarily delicious meal you would all be sharing this evening. You all sit outside on the soft grass next to the pond to eat your dinner. Countless songbirds sing their evening songs as translucent butterflies flit in the golden early evening light and dance just above the surface of the pond. They don't ask you questions like where you've come from or how you'd come to be there. It is as if they already know everything about you. They casually discuss things at dinner, like the dragon that is nesting in their forest, and how the earth fairies moved out of that vicinity and the fire fairies moved in. Asha is so excited to have a real guest over for dinner that she becomes an explosion of information. She tells you that she had befriended a unicorn earlier that summer, and she explains what delicacies it likes to eat, and how she planted everything in the garden with love, so it would feel her love even more when it ate the carrots she planted. You think it's childish game with her parents playing along, until a living, breathing unicorn steps out of the forest and walks gracefully up to the girl, bowing its head as she smiles and gives it a carrot. Asha giggles and says,
He didn't like carrots in the beginning. He thinks they're horse food. But I told him that was the easiest thing for me to plant. So he learned to like carrots. But he always says he just comes for the love.
You laugh and suddenly find yourself looking at Asha's mother, unable to take your eyes off of her.
There is something so familiar about you,
you say candidly.
I know that's impossible.
She smiles and says, Yes, it is possible. You were standing next to me in the biosphere at the base of the pyramid.
Oh my God. You're absolutely right. I remember now. But what happened?
You say, looking back and forth between Amelia and Matthew.
I mean, I'm not dead, right?
No, you're not dead.
I understand about being on a different frequency. At least, I think I understand. But what triggered all of this? I mean, what was it about the pyramid and the singing and looking up? And where did the ball of energy come from? I thought everyone died, but here you are. And you seemed so young. Did you have your daughter then?
You blurt out, your words tumbling over themselves. Amelia laughs. Well, time doesn't function quite the way you might think. This will probably be hard to understand, but everything happens all at once. All events and every possible outcome of every situation occurs in a single moment.
Whoa,
You say, your mind reeling.
I don't think I'm quite ready for this conversation. How about if you tell me about the pyramid instead?
Okay, says Asha's mother gamely. We'll get back to that later. The pyramid in the biosphere is an exact replica of the Pyramid of Giza. The shape allows hundreds or thousands of people to gather at the base and focus on a single point, just above the apex, where everyone's thoughts and intentions come together for whatever they desire. We were all singing Ah, Om, because Om is the original sound that sparked everything into existence. She pauses for a moment, looking at you, and then says, That's a little confusing, isn't it? You nod. She smiles and says, Why don't you close your eyes for a moment and see if you can imagine this? Try not to figure it out, just allow pictures to flow through your mind. You nod again, smile, and close your eyes. Though you can't hear it, she says, continuing, each organ in your body and every cell emits a unique sound or vibration. And this is true of the entire universe. Everything is connected through harmonic frequencies. Much like the way you can pluck a guitar string, and if it's the right frequency, another string will vibrate or sing at the same time. With your eyes closed, deeply immersed in your imagination, you smile and nod as you remember this phenomenon from playing your guitar as a child. Now imagine these sounds as different colors, and the sound Aum is equivalent to white light. So in the same way that white light contains all imaginable colors, Aum contains every vibration, every harmonic frequency that now appears in physical form. And in the same way that you dream and see a world instantaneously before your eyes, all that is was created in a single moment with the sound Aum. You lean back on your elbows and finally lay down on the soft, fragrant grass behind you. And then, without another word from Asha's mother, you see it yourself. There had been hundreds of people singing Aum at the base of the pyramid, and though that included soldiers who had no idea what they were trying to achieve, the sound itself clearly carried the vibration of the earth as it was created in the beginning, and the intention to return it to its original state was magnified through a single point of focus. Suddenly you see yourself at the beginning of time and feel the sound Aum vibrating everything and every possibility into existence in a single moment, like a dream world to be entered into at the will of the dreamer, each dreamer becoming real in the dream they were choosing. In the next moment, you hear a deep snuffling sound, and something wet and warm touches your cheek. You open your eyes and instantly launch yourself into the air and shoot backwards so quickly you frighten Blossom, the family's massive bear, so thoroughly she runs several feet away, hackles up, and then turns around to look at this strange, terrifying creature, unsure of what she should do. Asha runs over to the bear and throws her arms around Blossom's neck as she whispers into her ear the way someone might try to calm a startled horse. Finally, she convinces Blossom that you are a friend, and they walk up to you so that bear and man could try their greeting again. Your head is spinning. You've given up trying to understand anything at all. In fact, you decide you know nothing, and it's much better that way. You are looking forward to going to sleep because you hope that in the morning everything will make more sense. And then you see little lights that appear to be floating in the distance.
"Oh, come look!"
yells Asha as she runs ahead down a path through the forest, constantly looking over her shoulder, beckoning you to come. By the time you reach the end of the path, it is nearly dark, but you can easily see the broad river before you, flowing along languidly with tiny handmade wooden boats, with a candle and a piece of fruit in each. "Oh, how sad," you say. "Somebody must have died." Asha giggles.
"No, nobody died. These boats are sent from girls upstream who haven't found the man of their dreams yet."
You mean it's sort of like a wish, like throwing coins in a fountain?
"No,"
says Asha with a sigh of laughter. And then she begins to talk to you as if she's explaining the birds and the bees.
"You see, when a young woman is ready to get married, she'll sometimes meet a man in her village, or at one of the festivals we have where lots and lots of people come together. But sometimes she hasn't found the right man. So about once or twice a year, all of the girls in the village who are of marrying age and still looking for their beloved, well, they get together and make these boats with candles they've made themselves and fruit from a tree that grows on their own land. They send the boats downstream, and any man who hasn't found his goddess yet,"
she adds with a smile,
"goes into the stream, takes the boat he's drawn to, and then journeys along the shore up the stream to find his beloved."
What if she doesn't like him, or vice versa?
You say, thinking the idea is both intriguing and terrifying, at least from your perspective.
"I've never heard of any couple not falling in love that way. There are no coincidences, you know."
Well, how does he know who she is? Is her name and address on the boat?
Asha howls with laughter.
"No,"
she says with another sigh.
"He takes a journey up the river, and he can tell from the fruit in the boat which tree it grew from."
Wow,
you say, genuinely impressed.
Or sometimes he'll just feel which woman it is, and when he sees her, he gives her back her little boat. And he'll say something really romantic like, "You are the goddess of my dreams," stuff like that. And then she'll say something that lets him know she's interested. And then they talk for a while. And then they walk around until they find the perfect land on which to build their home.
How do they afford the land?
You ask, especially curious because it seems that no one ever works.
"No one has to pay for land,"
says Asha.
"If no one lives there, you can build a home and plant everything you need and start a family."
So you're saying that if I just walked into that river right now and plucked out a boat, the woman who made it would most likely fall madly in love with me?
Asha nods.
Well, that's just the craziest thing,
you say, feeling a bit stupid for even mentioning such a ridiculous idea.
"You'd only say that if none of the boats were meant for you."
So what if I grab a boat anyhow, just to prove that you're wrong?
You say, tickling Asha as she squeals in delight.
"Well, as my mama says, would you rather be right or happy?"
says Asha, smiling broadly. The boats have all bobbed past you in a merry procession, and are now quite a bit further downstream. But there is one little boat that is tagging along at a slower pace. And now it is stuck on a rock, with the current going past it. You can see it won't come loose by itself, and you feel sad to think that there might be a damsel somewhere waiting for her beloved, and wondering why he never came. So you wade out into the river and pick up the little boat, with the idea of sending it on its way. But the minute you hold it in your hands, you feel a charge of warm energy flow up your arms and into your heart. The warmth is so powerful, you feel it flooding through your entire body, even causing your cheeks to flush. You decide right then and there that you don't care whether she is attracted to you or if you are attracted to her. You simply have to meet the woman who made the boat. Just holding it makes you feel madly in love, and though you don't know how it's happening, you would swear you can see her face. Heart-shaped, rosy cheeks, and bright green eyes, smiling lovingly at you, saying, "Come to me, come to me." You know it's crazy, but it's a far superior crazy to the life you've been leading until now. So with the boat under your arm and the apple that came with it in your pocket, you hold the candle in one hand and Asha's hand in the other, and you walk back up the path to her home. That night, everyone sleeps outdoors. The air is cool and fragrant, with night-blooming jasmine, and the scent of magnolias drift by tantalizingly when the breeze shifts slightly and comes a bit more from the east. You are given the softest bedding, and you lay it on the grass a good distance from the rest of the family, just in case you snore. Asha brings you a fluffy pillow and sits down next to you as you stretch out on your back with your head on the pillow and turn to smile at her. As if she's telling you a bedtime story, Asha says quietly,
"The stars and the planets and the moon are all reflecting the love we feel here on earth back to us. So we sleep outside every night that we can see the stars and moon and send love back to them."
With that, she gives you a goodnight kiss on your cheek and walks over to her parents, where she burrows under the covers between them. You look up at the twinkling night sky and indeed feel the love the little girl had predicted. As you lay there, eyes open, gazing into the sky, you hear, or rather feel, the heavens singing. The flowers and grass and trees join in the chorus. You can hear the pond and all the nighttime creatures singing as well. And then, without thinking, you begin singing with them, the low, deep, resonant sound of awe. As love surrounds you and shines upon you, sparkling across the ripples in the pond and on the dew-dropped tips of grass, you yawn and stretch and feel that marvelous feeling of being so tired your bed feels like a cloud carrying you off to dreamland. You open your eyes dreamily one last time to see everything drenched in moonlight and say to yourself, "What a beautiful space of love." Then you reach out for the little boat and hold it in your arms as you fall asleep dreaming of an apple tree and a beautiful green-eyed maiden beckoning you to come home.